So today I'm going to show you some things that I have that I really like. Okay, so my first thing is The Stonewall Reader. This is my favorite book in the entire world. It's a compilation of writings like essays, pamphlets, and interviews from the time before, during, and after the Stonewall riots. And I think it is such a perfect introduction to queer history because it truly emphasizes the role that people of color and trans people had in the making of the LGBT rights movement, because so often they're forgotten. I think specifically of the Stonewall movie, the 2015 one. God awful. I could go on for hours about how much I hate that movie, but I won't. But it like emphasizes the role that a white gay man had in the movement as some kind of like frontier. But really, the people who were leading in the front lines were people of color and trans people. There's one passage in here from Mark Siegel's And Then I Danced, where he talks about like when it came time to like fight the police and like push back, it was mostly trans people and like street kids, like people of color, who were actually fighting because they had nothing to lose, while white gay men basically fled because they had their status and their wealth to lose, their respectability in the community to lose. So when it came down to doing like the nitty gritty, like the actual fighting, they were gone. The gay men who wore the polo shirts with the alligators, like the wealthy men, they were gone. And there is one interview in here with Sylvia Rivera where she talks about the STAR Project, which was the Street Transvestite Action Revolutionaries. And that was basically a trans youth shelter, the first of its kind actually. And whenever her and Marsha P. Johnson asked for help from the like community with like funding, there was nothing. It was radio silent because a lot of the white gay men didn't want like trans people to be seen as the face of the community, and they were embarrassed to them. But it makes no sense because they were the ones who were actually fighting. And I think a lot of what's in here is still applicable today, unfortunately, because it is so often that trans people are forgotten in the mainstream movement. And it is so often that we put like white gay men on a pedestal and we act as if they have to be the face of our community because they're respectable. And whenever, we get confronted by straight people, we want to have someone who they see as like worthy to point towards and be like, no, this is the face of our community. And yeah, we so often forget trans people of color. And I think this book does a really fantastic job of highlighting the way in which they were the ones who were the actual pioneers. They was the ones who were fighting for us. So yeah. Okay, and then next up, this is kind of weird, but I have my Hello Kitty Converse shoes. I promise there's like a reason to this. I absolutely love them. I got them 5 years ago, but that whole time they were just sitting in my closet because I did not want to perform femininity. Anything that was like girly, anything that had pink, anything that would be seen as somewhat feminine, I just completely hated it because I wanted to cultivate this really like cool girl, hangs with the guys persona that just wasn't even me, like at all. Like I've always loved girly things, but for so long I didn't want that because I thought that it would make me seem inferior or not as cool. But then about like a year ago, I got really into lifting heavy and stuff. And I needed some flat-soled shoes because, when you're doing like squats, you want them to be flat, whatever. I'm not gonna do my gym bro talk right now. But then I saw these in my closet and I thought they were like perfect because I absolutely love the juxtaposition between, me doing this traditionally hyper-masculine activity, surrounded by super buff, like hyper-hetero dudes in my little Converse, my little Hello Kitty shoes, because then I'll be lifting like super heavy and yet I'll be wearing these like pink girly cutesy shoes. And I don't know, there's just something quite empowering about owning my femininity while doing something that was considered traditionally masculine. And I don't know, I quite like that. It makes me feel happy when I do it because it feels like the true me. It doesn't feel like I'm like putting on some kind of persona, But then also, recently, I've decided to just reclaim my femininity altogether because I came out as queer. And most of my romantic attraction is like focused on girls rather than guys. And there is something really interesting about performing femininity when it's not directed towards men, when I'm not doing it to get the attention of men. Because traditionally that would be seen, all the power to everyone who does it, like, that's beautiful. But for me, lately, like, performing femininity has been really for myself, for my own sake, because I don't feel like I need to attract men, because I really don't care. So whenever I'm like wearing something girly or wearing something pink, I like go all out because I'm trying to do it for me. And also, I'm trying to signal to other girls that I am queer. So I overdo it. I go above and beyond because I want them all to be like, hey, she is queer. Clearly, she's overperforming femininity. And I don't know, I just feel like that's kind of a really fun signal to have to other queer people, to be like, hey, I too am queer. So yeah, these are really important to me because they like represented this like first step in reclaiming my femininity, which for so long I strayed away from because I wanted to be cool and quirky. But yeah, so that's it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye.